It's been almost 2 months since I made the video on the Aqara FP2 presence sensor. My idea was to create an automation where the lights would turn on when I walked into the studio and then turn off when I walked out. Let's see how it's going. As you know from the original video, I did have some issues with the sensor and it detecting what I jokingly referred to as ghosts, causing the lights to stay on even when no one was in the room. That persisted for about a week or so I kept tweaking the detection zones. The main troublemakers were the light stand and the doorway area. To address this, I reduced the detection area around these spots, which seemed to improve the situation. After some adjustments and perhaps the sensor adapting over time, the automation began working more reliably. The lights that I wanted to turn on would turn on, with the exception of the overhead lights because I could not find them in the Alexa app. I mentioned in that video that I couldn't find any of my Lutron switches in the Alexa app, which led me to trying a new smart home platform integrating Home Assistant and Apple HomeKit for a more robust system. Here's a little secret. I'm still using Alexa. It's going to be a much longer transition and I still might utilize Alexa for certain things. So just the other day, I was troubleshooting another issue at home when I stumbled upon the Lutron switches in the Alexa app. Interestingly, they were right there all along, but under their old names. The issue was that the name of that switch was still the name that I had before I moved it down to the studio. I had that particular switch in my upstairs hallway and I did change the name in the Lutron app, but it never changed in the Alexa app, even though I had disabled the Lutron scale then and re-enabled it a couple of times. This misnaming issue also occurred with my Hue lights recently, reminding me that changes in one app don't always sync across platforms. So the next day I came down to my studio, I added it to the automation, and for the most part the automation has been working perfectly. The lights turn on every time I come into the studio, but there are times where they do not turn off. It's happened maybe 3 or 4 times, but I must admit I haven't checked the app to see if it's still detecting anything, especially after I have moved the light stand while filming my last video and then returned it to its place. Initially, this did cause a few false alarms, but within a couple of days, everything was back to functioning normally. Recently, I did have an issue where the lights did shut off while I was still in the studio. I believe it happened while I was editing a video, which has been the only time it has actually shut off while I was in the studio. But other than that, it hasn't happened. I've pinned a comment on the setup video about setting entrance and interference zones, which should help anyone facing similar issues. I must admit that I have not done that yet because after a week or so, it just started working pretty much as it should. I'll also put it down in the description below, as well as putting a link to that setup video as well. As for the Home Assistant and HomeKit transition, it's still a work in progress, which I'll make a video on very soon. Have you had similar experiences with smart home devices where they didn't behave as expected, whether it be the FP2 sensor or any other device? Share your troubleshooting tips or tell us about your own journey with integrating different smart home platforms down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and like always, keep on living a modern lifestyle through technology. Peace. Bye.